everyone, this is Kelly Janae with Ethereal Ecology, and you are watching the Reducing the Dosage series. I am outside in West Virginia on a work retreat. It is good to be on an adventure. So in terms of my dosage, I am actually at 11 milligrams right now. The last time we talked, I was saying that I was going to take 2 weeks at half milligram increments. So after I hit 12.5 milligrams, I started to dissolve my 100 milligram tablets that I had left over into a compounding solution, and taking that solution through a syringe, so I only have to take like 2.75 or something milliliters of this really gross tasting medicine every day. And so I was going to do half a milligram every 2 weeks, but then I realized that that was just too slow. It was going to take me an entire year to get off of this medication, and I really don't want to be on this for another year, and it didn't really feel necessary. The half milligram increments haven't been that intense, so I actually decided to shorten that to 1 week at half milligram increments. So I went down from 11.5 to 11 over the last week, and tomorrow is Wednesday, which is when I started this process, so I'll be going down to 10.5 milligrams tomorrow. And the way that I calculate how much milligrams that I need to take is a simple proportion formula, which I can put into the show notes. But simply, I have taken 200 milliliters of the compounding solution, 200 milligrams of my tablets into 50 milliliters of the solution, dissolved it in, and so 200 milligrams over 50 milliliters equals X milligrams over X milliliters. And so you can figure out how many milliliters you need to take based on how many milligrams you need to take. And like I said, I'll put that calculation into the show notes. Something that I wanted to focus on today was that it's been really challenging just the last, and I think back to one of my videos where I was in the mountains and I was taking this hike, and it was a long video. And I was really struggling, and I think it's called, or I'm going to call it because it's not posted yet, Still Not Okay. But essentially, you know, I realized that there was still so much work that I needed to do in my mind, in my heart, to be able to heal from all the pain and the discomfort, and I was having all this mental anguish going on. And since then, I've really realized, and life has just gifted me with the tools and the role models for working on basically a different level of healing. So in healing, there's there's the physical level where we have to work on our physical body. We got to have diet, lifestyle, nutrition, exercise, things like that. I've got that down pretty well. We've got the spiritual body, the etheric body, our aura, our chakra system, our connection to the all that is, and obviously our physical symptoms that come up are oftentimes a manifestation of our spiritual issues of energy getting stuck in our centers, and they're not flowing freely, and so it causes problems, and that can cause all kinds of issues in mental anguish and the heart and things like that, which is what I was dealing with. But none of the tools that I had up to this point were really doing justice to what actually needed to be done, which I've realized is happening on a level that sort of seems like it's between the spiritual and the physical, and that is the emotional level. And I will say this time and time again, I am convinced that bipolar disorder, it's not a mental illness. It's an emotional imbalance. It's an inability for us to deal with our emotions when they come up. And so essentially we repress them, and we repress them, and we repress them, and we push them away, and then we lash out, and then we're way over here and we're way over there, and nobody ever taught us how to feel our emotions. I feel like I have discovered that I am essentially an empath, a very strong empath, who was never taught to feel anything, and was essentially how I grew up. I was very isolated as an individual in the world, and just became very shut off, and I basically took out my anger at the world and my sadness on myself through self-harm. and basically did that from middle school onward. And whew, something about society just doesn't give us the space and the resources to actually help us move through our emotions. And so I've been working on this emotional level for the last couple of days. I listened to a podcast on Sounds True that's about befriending your emotions and befriending anxiety. There is a woman named Carla McLaren, and she's written a number of books, one of which is called The Language of Emotions, which talks about how every single emotion that we have actually is a part of our cognition. It is another part of our intelligence. Emotions, there's no such thing. She claims, and I totally agree with her, that there are no negative emotions, and there are no positive emotions. We may feel like anger and sadness and resentment and shame and guilt are all negative feelings, but that's because we don't know how to release them. We don't know how to feel them and then let them go and move on. Instead, we hold on to them because when we need a way to release them, we're not supported by other people. We're not supported when we cry. We're told not to cry. Men and women, all of the genders on this planet. And we're told, as women, if we start yelling that, we're not being proper, or that it's unattractive, or, people get scared, or, people just are not supportive when we feel things, and we're not supportive to ourselves. And so I've been doing so much healing just around, not feeling safe to feel. First of all, I cleared a belief that I had that it's not safe to express myself freely. And with that comes a realization also that I felt like it wasn't safe to express my emotions, because when I was younger, the way that I would deal with my emotions was to cut myself. And so, my body, that's a defense mechanism saying, hey, if you feel emotions, you're going to hurt yourself, so we're just going to stop you. And I realized, the emotions, it's that's causing this discomfort in my body and this inability to move forward. And also just realizing that I have a bunch of trauma. I mean, we all hold on to trauma. Some people more than others, but all of us hold on to trauma. I mean, I've had some traumatic accidents, especially recently I had a traumatic accident that I'm realizing now has triggered this, has triggered this journey to understanding how to heal myself emotionally. Without that, I mean, I need this emotional healing in order to let go of the pain of it. It's amazing the things that I've found out just in the last couple of days sitting with myself and moving through emotions. And so you're probably like, okay, Kelly, how the heck do you do that? Because I would not have known if life didn't gift me with all the perfect storm for, hey, this is how you deal with your emotions, and how you love your emotions and accept your emotions. First of all, accept them. Love them. They're a part of your cognition. They're here to teach you something. And once you learn what that is, you can let it go and move on. And it's way easier, honestly, just to deal with your emotions when they come up. Grief, sadness, anger, shame, guilt, happiness, joy, pride. I mean, all these positive things too. Positive, good feelings. They sometimes aren't even felt because we have shut off our ability to feel the other feelings too. We deepen our ability to be joyful and happy when we deepen our ability to feel sadness, anger, and pain. It's true. It is true. So, the way that I've been working through my emotions is by sort of acupressure and tapping techniques. And so there is this technique called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, or tapping. And there's plenty of tutorials on YouTube that you can use, but I'll talk you through it really quickly. There's basically these acupressure points on your body, and you've got, meridians all throughout your body, but this particular sequence just focuses on a few of those. And you basically speak through what you're feeling as you're tapping these points. And the reason behind this is when we are upset, when we're stressed, when we're feeling something and we don't know how to let it go, we close ourselves off and we feel unsafe. And that's a defense mechanism that comes from our primal brain, okay? It's there for a reason, but it's just not, it doesn't really serve us anymore as these more consciously evolved humans with frontal lobes, okay? So when you tap these points, it tells your body it's okay. It's okay to feel this. I wouldn't be tapping myself right now if I was actually running away from a lion. So basically you start here at like karate chop hand, and you can do whichever hand, just you can switch it up, and you sort of talk to yourself, talk through it. I've been doing this just randomly because I've been like catching up. I've been catching up on my emotional releasing, and so I've been basically saying to myself like, okay, I'm feeling anxiety right now about work because I feel like I'm the only one who is planning for this retreat, and like it's my responsibility to make everybody feel happy, but I realize and I accept that this is not all my responsibility, that other people are probably worried about this too. And then I don't know, and then you kind of you go forward and you tap here and you keep talking and you're just kind of explaining like, yeah, now I'm feeling kind of shameful and guilty for not doing enough work, and then you move over here and blah blah blah. I'm trying to come up with an example on the spot without being extremely vulnerable, and then you tap here, you tap here, here, tap the heart, tap the rib cage. This one's a good one. You hold a lot of anger in your rib cage, and then tap the top of your head. And you can go through that sequence as many times as you need to release that emotion. It has absolutely changed my freaking life. I mean, it's the simplest thing, but it has changed my life completely just to do these little tapping techniques. And then just acupressure in general. I recommend looking up acupressure for your hands. There's a spot like right in the middle of the hand that apparently corresponds to the solar plexus. There's spots for each chakra. I know that the solar plexus one is like, woo, really feels good for me. So wherever feels good for you when you're, but then like speaking through your emotions, and I do it by myself. I mean, I don't need to pay for a therapist to talk to myself. I feel more safe and more comfortable just releasing the emotions as by myself in the woods or while I'm meditating or on the ground, and I've released some serious cries. I have yelled, I have just let emotion come through me naturally, and it feels really silly at first, but gosh, it feels so good. And this is the essence of self-love, is to give yourself the space to feel and to release, and then you're liberated. It's like that easy. It really is. And I'm also realizing like there's a lot coming up from my childhood and from my middle school years, and like I'm just talking through it and realizing, oh my god, like I'm scared that my mom isn't feeling her grief, and I feel like it's my responsibility, and like I didn't even know that that was a problem, but now I'm crying about it, and it's like, okay, keep it going, keep it going. So I recommend using that technique, and we'll definitely be deepening into the ability to heal emotional trauma, to work with the emotional self, but really it's all rooted in loving all of your emotions. Don't reject them, accept them, love them. Love yourself. Give yourself the time of day. Take some time. Sit by yourself and talk to yourself. It may only be working for me. I don't know. I would love to hear your experiences, but it's really quite amazing how much it's changed my life and caused my mind to, calm down, and allowed me to release a lot of stuckness. Like in my heart, I have a lot of hardness. I have a lot of hardness in my heart. And I know a lot of people do. And so I've just been like really breathing into things and realizing when I'm resisting and just not resisting anymore. Because living any way other than being my full authentic self, I refuse to do it. I refuse to do it. It doesn't feel good. It feels like death. It feels like being in a prison in my body. And we can all be liberated from that if only we have the support. And when you can't find support outside, you have to be your support network. That doesn't mean you have to heal alone. You are not alone. That is for gosh darn sure. You are not alone. I put my hand on a tree today and did this work. That's also a really good way to do it. Talking to a tree. Seriously, it sounds crazy, but trees are sentient beings and they're extremely supportive. So anyway, looking forward to making more specific videos about healing techniques like this. It's really been amazing to deepen into my capacity as an energy and a spiritual healing practitioner, and I'm just grateful that life has, it's giving me opportunities to do this work on myself so that then I can say, hey, this works, and teach it to others. I love you so very much. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. Peace.